Hey guys, it's Hank here. And so there's two things that if you know me, you know I'm very passionate about. Number one is pumping and the health benefits that come along with that. But number two is women.
I said I like women! Women!
So today we're actually going to combine the two topics and talk about some very interesting research that I found that shows that when women use a pump, you can have improvement in overall sexual function, big O rates, lubrication, and even satisfaction rates. And so we're going to break down that data today, so you don't want to miss this. And guys, if you're enjoying this content, please take a second to like the video, hype the video, and certainly if you're enjoying this content and you watch my stuff regularly, please be a subscriber. So the first paper we're going to talk about is titled A New Non-Pharmacological Vacuum Therapy for Female Sexual Dysfunction. So this paper is going to evaluate pumping when it comes to women. Now, if you look at the background of this paper, I mean, in general, if you're going to say like what sex has more problems with sexual dysfunction or even like an inability to reach the big O, it's typically going to be women. Now, there's a lot of different factors that it can account for that, but I think for a lot of men, if there was not a pill and not something where there's like this invasive intervention that a woman could do safely that would improve all of basically the satisfaction rates, I think anybody would be looking for that. They talk in this paper about how pumps improve blood flow, okay? And guys, if you haven't seen my pumping playlist, like the dozens of videos that I've made about the immeasurable benefits of pumping, even most recently I made a video about just how to use a pump for the benefits of erection quality, you should really consider checking that out. But it's no secret that using a pump improves blood flow and improves erection quality. Guys, I'm not going to break down all of the science in this one, but if you actually look at the genitalia between men and women, basically men's genitalia develops from a woman's genitalia, basically in utero. Anatomically speaking, they're extremely similar. Now, what they did in this study is that they looked at two separate groups of women. They had about 12 women that had normal function and about 20 women that had sexual dysfunction, and then compared the use of basically a clitoral pump or basically a genital pump on the area and to see if that improved any of the outcomes. Now, guys, just look at this graph here of the results, okay? If you look at the percentage of women, now this percentage of patients that reported an improvement, and so an improvement, 58% of the normal women reported improvement, 90% of the dysfunctional women reported greater sensation. Increased lubrication, you had 80% report increased lubrication in the dysfunction, and still 1/3 of women in the normal group reported increased lubrication. Increased ability to reach the top, over 50% of women in the dysfunction, and almost the same number of women in the normal group. And then finally, if you look at increased satisfaction, 80% of the women with dysfunction, and in general, still 1/4 of women in the normal group improved. For a non-pharmaceutical intervention that can be used intermittently a few days a week to have this kind of improvement, especially if there's some kind of underlying dysfunction, that's huge. There's a lot of reasons for sexual dysfunction in women. Some of it is psychological, some of it is like a history of trauma or even SA. And then other times, guys, like just the process of childbirth or even pelvic trauma, like in this paper here, you can have changes to the blood flow that actually goes to the genitals or even some of the nerves that go to the genitals. If you have an intervention like this, it could be a major game changer for a lot of women. But that's not the only paper we found. So I also found a paper that looked at sexual dysfunction in women that were treated with cervical cancer. Now, the reason why I actually really like this paper is because they actually break down in detail how they actually went about using the pump. And so I'm probably going to put a slightly redacted picture up here, but you can see here, guys, there's this electronic device with a little cup that goes like right over top of like basically the clitoris and the clitoral bulb, and it electronically causes negative pressure and suction. Now, once again, I really like this paper because they include all the pertinent details. In this paper, they talk about how the maximum pressure was right at 9.8 inches of mercury. Personally, I think that's a lot, especially if you're just trying to get improved blood flow. But, I just love that they have it in there. If you're looking at pumping for just erection quality, typically it's recommended about 8 inches of mercury max. And I'll put up some text on the screen, guys. You can pause it and read it if you want to. But basically what they say here is that they recommend you do 60 seconds on with low pressure and then 60 seconds off, and then repeated that 5 times a day. Then as the patients got more comfortable with the pressure and they didn't have any pain or discomfort from pumping, they advanced the pressure from low to medium and then from medium to high. Once they were able to basically pump in the intervals without pain at those intermittent pressures. And they did this for about 15 to 30 minutes of intermittent use with up to like basically 4-minute intervals of like on-time pressure. All in all, guys, like it's actually pretty solid pumping advice. You know, don't exceed 9.8 inches of mercury, do it intermittently. Don't ever pump when you have pain or discomfort, and only advance the pressure once you're comfortable at a pressure level. Like solid advice for men and women right here. But once again, guys, now caveat, of course, this is specifically looking at women treated for cervical cancer, okay? This doesn't have a normal group. But if you look at this chart here, you can see, once again, desire, arousal, lubrication, big O, and satisfaction in general are all improved, and rates of pain are decreased. And so it dramatically improved all outcomes. And here's a chart here where you can actually see the actual 3-month outcome as far as the female sexual function index score. So their overall satisfaction score dramatically increases. So what are my thoughts on this data? Well, I mean, quite honestly, guys, I think that it's very compelling data that shows that using a pump, especially if you're a woman, can actually improve your sexual pleasure, basically. Improve sexual outcomes, especially if you're suffering from sexual dysfunction. Like the harder part is like, how do you talk to your girl about this? I mean, because I guess in a perfect world, if you're open and you're doing any kind of enlargement and you're using a pump anyways, you guys could like, in theory, like pump together, okay? And, you know, I don't know. I'm just thinking that that'd be wild. I can't really imagine that in my situation, but it is something that I think a lot of guys could do. You also have to keep in mind, guys, that this is somewhat limited evidence. And so I recommend you do your own research and form your own conclusions. This is data that was published about 2 decades ago, and there really hasn't been any additional literature published since then. I think a lot of that is due to like, here's, you know, put on my tinfoil hat, but big pharma and conspiracy theory and like trying to develop things like female Viagra rather than more natural methods like this. So let me know what you think, guys. Would you try to get your girl to do this? Is this something that you would be cool with or maybe down with? I mean, I think any guy would like to have improved rates with their girl as far as successful interactions, if you know what I mean. Guys, if you need to reach me for coaching, patreon.com/DocKink. And of course, if you're trying to get bigger and want to do that based on a science-based method, my course is available in the description, where I take you through step-by-step based on real published literature, ways that I think are most effective at increasing male size naturally. Remember, guys, there's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. All right, peace and love.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Steady calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.